Hey Instagram family, it is Dr. T here on Wednesday night, and if you are joining me right this moment, then you're probably watching the replay. So thank you so much for jumping on my Instagram. To everybody, we are in Feb Fertility, hashtag Feb Fertility. I'm celebrating 10 years of working in the field of infertility, and I have 10 education sessions that I'm doing via Instagram. I've just spent the last 5-10 minutes fiddling around with filters. And then I just decided that I would show you the real me. No doubt you guys can actually see. Look at my face. Look at this. Looks terrible, doesn't it? I just had some skin cancers removed this week. So to all of you out there, make sure you're getting your skin checks with your GPs as part of your well woman checks, because I just had to have some skin cancers removed. Look at that. I know. And that's with makeup on. Well, not too much makeup because it's the end of the day. So I'm going filter free tonight. I am in support of the movement for filter free. And that's what you're getting from me tonight, is filter free. So thank you so much for joining us. There's lots of people jumping on, and I'm so glad that you guys have jumped on tonight, because we have, if I manage to get my technical know-how right, we have an incredible friend, guest, advocate, community member, woman, who is joining us tonight to tell us her story. And I do believe that I can see her on, so I'm just going to add her in a second. I'm not going to tell you anything really about her story, because I think that this beautiful woman has the right to share this story herself. Other than to say that, like many of you who are my patients, she is one of my heroes. And she's certainly taught me a lot about this journey. And she's taught me a lot about myself, and she's taught me a lot about the power of women in their, and men, but women particularly in their fertility journeys. So I want to just invite her on, Amy. Let me see if I can, how do I add you, my friend? Let's see. Ask to be added. To call. Let's see if I can get this right. Let's see if I can get this right. I'm not very good at this stuff. There we go. Let's hope she's joining soon. I have invited you, Ames. Fingers crossed I did that right. But let's see. Yep, you have been invited. Let's see if she can jump on. I'm sure she'll send me a message if she can't. And we might have to take two. How are you, everybody? Steph, Life of Brit, Kelso, Jess, Claire, Rach, Lara, another Rach, M. All right. Okay, Amy, we'll try one more time. I'll invite you again. Oh, Amy Mack, unable to join. What? No. We had this planned out, didn't we, Ames? Let's see. We'll invite one more time. I have sent you an invite. Do you want to just throw a comment in the... Oh, we did it. Look at us.
We did.
How clever are we?
Did.
I thought for a second, oh my God, we're going to have to do a take two on this, but no, you figured it out.
I set it up on my laptop because I didn't want to hold my phone, but I couldn't figure it out on the laptop, so I just did it on the phone.
Oh yeah, I can't do it on the laptop either. How are you, my love? Oh, we got a little bit of wait time here. Yeah. Ah, bring it on. Love the filter. We are the filter-free movement. I love it. I love it. So, I mean, I was just telling everybody that I'm not going to tell your story because I think you should tell your story, other than the fact that you and I have known each other for some years now. But maybe let me hand over to you, and why don't you tell everyone a little bit about your journey, even before you actually met me?
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Amy, and Tamara has kindly invited me on here to share my fertility journey. I will start by saying I am by no means an expert in public speaking. Definitely not a strength of mine, definitely out of my comfort zone, but I feel if there's one thing that one person can take away from my journey, then is to give us fertility warriors some hope, encouragement, love. Know you're not alone out there. I feel your pain. I've been through it, but just believe in yourselves. So yeah, that's the reason why I agreed to step outside my comfort zone and come on here. So, a little bit about me. You might be able to tell from my accent. I'm Irish. I married a lovely Irish man called Fergal back in 2014. At the time, we decided that we would spend our first year of marriage just enjoying married life, and that we'd put starting a family on hold because there was plenty of time to do that. So that's what we did. Well, we did for 6 months, then we went on a trip and had no contraception, so that all went out the window, and decided, well, sure, look, we may as well give it a whirl and get going now. So that brought us to 2015, and we spent the best part of that year just trying naturally, doing what we all do, buying every ovulation stick kit to pee on, checking our temperature, all the things that we do to try and get that one small little particular window at the right time. Obviously didn't work out for us that way. I was 35 at this stage, decided to go see my GP and get a referral to see a fertility specialist, and which is when I was introduced to the lovely Tamara. Came to see Tamara with a view that I wasn't going down the fertility treatment route. I wasn't going to do an IVF. That wasn't what I needed to do. My body would be able to do things naturally. I knew it could. I was convinced it could. So my mindset was definitely not about a zillion injections and going down that route. So we did our preliminary testing when we went to see Tamara initially, and just got ourselves checked out to see was there anything in particular that was causing us not to be able to conceive. And lo and behold, the beautiful words of unexplained infertility were shared with us. Absolutely nothing wrong with either of us, nothing. Which sometimes I think is nearly worse than you actually finding something, because you've nothing to work with really. So as I wasn't mentally prepared to do any sort of IVF or fertility treatment, we chose to do some cycle tracking for a period of time, because I was like, oh yeah, that's what we need. We just need somebody to ring us up and tell us, go home now today and have sex tonight and you'll fall pregnant. It's the right time. That wasn't the case for us either. So did that for, I don't know, months and months and months, probably into 2016 at this stage. Nothing was happening. So we take a break and take a trip back home. So we did that, lovely holiday, kind of switch off from it all. Came back, period was late, and I was pregnant, naturally. I was like, I knew it. I knew I could do it. I knew my body could just do it itself. So as you can imagine, super excited, absolutely no idea what we were to do next, but so over the moon. It was amazing. And that sheer excitement lasted probably about 4 weeks, we had a scan and there was a heartbeat. And about a week later, so at about 8 weeks, I miscarried and lost the little baby. So at this stage, as I said, I was convinced that my body could do it naturally. So we went back to the clinic and said, let's just do some more cycle tracking, because I've fallen pregnant once myself. I can do it again. You hear of so many people that have that first miscarriage and then go on to have healthy pregnancies. Where was I then? So we did that, did a few more months of that. That didn't work out. That brought us into 2017, and I was 37 at this stage. Came back to see Tamara, and I'd gotten to the stage where I knew that I needed to do something more than just some tracking. So we decided to go down the route of IVF. So we did our first round and got 6 beautiful blastocysts out of it. That was in April 2017. Then we did back-to-back transfers, June, July, August, and they all failed. So for us, I think we got to a stage where we were like, right, well, we've done 3. We don't want to, we had 3 more to go. We were utterly convinced when we had 6 that we would get a family out of it. Like, of course, you automatically think you would. So we went back to see Tamara and said we don't really want to do any more transfers until we, explore maybe the reason why they weren't taking. So from my miscarriage, I had a D&C, and we had the tissue tested, and it had confirmed that I had that embryo had chromosomal abnormalities. So sometimes, I'm no medical person, so correct me, Tamara, that if sometimes a cause of embryos not implanting in the uterus is down to chromosomal abnormalities. So we decided that we would go through some PGS, that's it, yeah, testing.
Yep.
Thank you. So we had 3 left, so we decided to increase our chances, and I went through a second round of IVF that later 2017, which we got 4 more blastocysts. So we sent the 4 of them and 3 others for testing, and we got 2 beautiful normal embryos. So we were like, perfect, we should at least get at least one out of this. So we then, sorry, I just have to refer to my notes. I'm trying to remember it all.
This is great. This is absolute gold.
Yeah. So we had the 2. So we transferred one of them December 2017. That was transfer number 4, and that failed. So again, back to the drawing board. We had 1 left. We wanted to delve in more. Like, we were always about that plan, like that, not to go ahead with any further treatment until you see if there's anything else that you can do to make the next one work, especially because it was our last one. So we have a look. Sorry, guys.
I apologize. Go.
Oh yeah. So I had a hysteroscopy done then, just extra checking.
Yeah, we'll leave that uterus where it is, shall we?
A hysteroscopy done, and to check out some more things with regard to my endometrius, and nothing came up on that. So we went, that's what it was. I did, and for the 5th transfer, then I did an endometrial scratch to hopefully make the uterus a bit more.
Back in the day when we recommended doing those. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So I had one of them, and went into the 5th transfer. Had started some acupuncture as well, and we just had a new kind of protocols for that transfer, which I did, and I was pregnant for a second time. But about a week after that, I miscarried and lost the second baby. So at this stage, we had no embryos left. So we had to make a decision as to whether we wanted to go again, which for us, we always had a plan B. We never really went into a transfer or anything without having a, if this doesn't work, like that realistic approach. If this doesn't work, what are we going to do after it? So we had already made the decision that if it didn't work, we were willing to do another full round of IVF. So we did round 3. We got 5 blastocysts and PGS tested again, and we got 2 more normal ones. That was June 2018. We took another trip home. So this is 2 years after our previous trip home. So we did the egg retrieval and went off home on another holiday just to take a break before heading into our 6th transfer. And when we got back, I had always had a bit of an underactive thyroid, nothing too serious. But we kind of just monitored that. And when we got back from holidays, I'll never forget the day I was walking out of work for lunchtime on a Friday, and Tamara calls and says, "Oh, we got results from your thyroid, and it seems it's gone the complete opposite direction." And I was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is basically where it's like an overactive thyroid, but more. It overproduces, your thyroid's overproducing hormone, and thyroxine, and you have these antibodies within your system that mimic your thyroid and produce even more thyroxine, which, as a woman trying to conceive or a pregnant woman, can be detrimental to the baby. These antibodies can cross the placenta and cause miscarriages. So Tamara quickly referred me to an endocrinologist, and he advised me that I should cease trying to conceive until we got that under control. Which, in fertility days, that a month is an absolute killer. So to be told that we would treat it for 6 months and then revisit at the age of 38, 39 was devastating, like just gut-wrenching to know that we had to just sit and bide our time. So we still had our 2 embryos left, so we were very lucky from that point of view, and decided, well, what can we do during this 6 months that might help our journey. So we decided we would do a 4th round of IVF, and just bank up some younger looking eggs. So that November, we did our 4th round, and we got 3 blastocysts, and sent them for PGS testing, and unfortunately got the 3 of them were abnormal. So basically went through the whole round of IVF for absolutely no reason, nothing. Again, really, really disappointing to have to go through the full whack of it and to get no outcome from it is a killer. And it was kind of at that point that I said to Fergal, my husband, that I think I'm done. I don't think I can do another round. I've done 4. I know people who have done 10, and I fair play to them, but it wasn't something that I thought that I would be able to do. So we kind of made that decision that we wouldn't do another full round again, and that's where we left it at that. So thankfully, the 6 months passed slowly, and my thyroid sorted itself out, and we got the go ahead to do our next transfer. So in March 2019, we transferred our 6th embryo, and it worked. We followed the same protocols. It worked, and I was pregnant for a 3rd time. But sadly lost that baby at 7.5 weeks. So my 3rd miscarriage. And you're at that stage, you're like, oh, why me? Is it ever going to work? and I've only got one embryo left, and we've made the decision not to do any more rounds. I think it was easier to make that decision when we had two, because we figured, oh, well, one of them will definitely work, but you're down to one. So we were putting everything into this very last embryo. So we went back to the drawing board and said, is there anything else that we haven't looked at, or any new testing that's out, any new research that's been done? I was willing to try anything, like, before transferring lucky number 7. So we did a couple of more biopsies. One was to check the receptivity of my uterus, to make sure that when we were transferring was the optimal time for it to be transferred. It's called the ERA, and that came back perfectly fine. And then we also tested, I don't know, it was called the Emma test. I can't remember what the details of it was, but it's basically
looking at the microbiome.
Yes, analysing the healthy and unhealthy bacteria in your endometrium or your uterus. And that came back with some results, with some recommendations to go through some treatment. So between that and getting some advice from a naturopath, I underwent some like pre and probiotic treatment, just lots of pessaries and just lots of stuff to be put inside, and you just do it like morning, noon and night. You just had my notes up in the fridge, what I had to do when, and I just did it, because anything that doing something new for a transfer makes you have a new sense of hope, I guess, that you're not just doing the same thing that you've done the previous time. So that was what it was for us. We always wanted to do something different that gave us that bit of hope that, oh, maybe because of this, and maybe because my thyroid was under control, that this one would work. So we were all ready to go. And we got results when I'd had the 3rd miscarriage. I'd had another D&C, and they did the testing again, and the testing came back not with any reason for why I miscarried, but just came back with I'd call it another rotten cherry to add to the story. Basically telling me that, so the 3rd baby was a little boy, and he had, but again, layman's terms or laywoman's terms, he had, so boys have an X and a Y chromosome, girls have an X and an X, and he had a deletion in part of his X, so he was missing part of his X chromosome. And had he survived, and he could have survived, it wasn't the reason why I miscarried, but had he survived, there was a 50% chance that he would be born with a rare genetic disorder, which I won't go through the details of that. So myself and Fergal were both tested for the same genetic makeup, and Fergal's came back clear, and mine came back with the same deletion of the X. But as I'm a female and I have 2 X's, it didn't impact me. It only impacted males. So we went to see a genetic specialist who explained all of this to us. And his suggestion was to have my father and my brothers, who are all in Ireland, tested for the same thing, because they don't have it, and so he felt that if they had the same genetic makeup and they didn't suffer from the genetic disorder, then it would be okay if our last embryo was a male. So we thought about this, we pondered and we thought, but he said it was going to take over a year to go through that whole process. And to be honest with you, asking my family, they'd have done anything. They'd have swam to Australia if it meant we could have a family. They would have done anything. But it wasn't something that we really wanted to ask them to do, and it wasn't something that we wanted to wait that time to do either. For us, the most logical thing to do would be to find out the sex of that last embryo that we have, because if it was a female, we didn't need to worry about it. If it was a male, we wouldn't have transferred it, because to us, any baby that we gave birth to, and no matter how they were, we would have loved it, but we felt it would be selfish of us, just because we want to have a child, to bring one into the world where they were already starting off with medical issues. So we made the decision, if it was a girl, we would transfer. However, trying to find that answer out, and we knew it was out there because we'd had a PGS tested. So that process took a long time. A long time.
Can I just clarify for everybody? Can I just clarify, because that's determining gender, and you have to be really clear, particularly in Western Australia, that you're doing gender selection for a medical reason. And so we had to jump through a lot of hoops over a long period of time to have approval to determine the gender of that beautiful little embryo. Hey?
Yeah. And sometimes, sometimes people have to realize that we're not just a paper file with a bit of information on it. We're actually people. This was our last ever chance of becoming parents, because of the decisions we had made not to proceed any further after that. So that process took probably about another 6 months, I think. And on the 12th of December 2019, I was lying in my bed, like 11 o'clock at night. Fergal was fast asleep, snoring very loudly, as he does. If you're listening, Fergal, you know he snores a lot. Fast asleep, and for whatever reason, I opened up my emails, and there was an email in there basically saying, wanted to phone you earlier, didn't get a chance. I just wanted to let you know as soon as possible that your remaining embryo is a girl, or is female. And I jumped out of bed. I screamed, "It's a girl! It's a girl! It's a girl!" Got back into bed, kicked Fergal. He wakes up not knowing what's happening, and he's like, "What do you mean? Who's the girl? What's the girl? Where's the girl? What's a girl?" And I was like, "The embryo's a girl! It's a girl!" And you would think that I had just given birth to a baby, or I had just gotten my positive pregnancy test. Like, this was not guaranteeing us absolutely anything. It was another step forward. It was allowing us that one last chance that we said we'd have. And for whatever reason, we just believed in that. So that brought us to January 2020. And we went to transfer in April. But my cycle was cancelled a week before due to COVID. And in hindsight, probably an absolute blessing, to be honest with you. We transferred the beautiful embryo in June 2020, and I gave birth to my beautiful 11-month-old daughter on the 10th of March 2021 at 2:33 p.m. here in Perth. She's sleeping silently, and I'm the most grateful. She's sleeping all night. Yes, I'm the most grateful. I've never felt so grateful for anything in my entire life. So blessed. Really, really lucky.
Oh, Amy. So I have to unpack that. So let's just go back to 2014. You guys started this journey, right? 2014. You talk about taking the layers off the onion.
Yes.
There's not much more that this journey could really have thrown at you, really. And you just kept coming back, which is why I called this playing the long game, because you are someone, and I know there are other patients of mine and others out there who have played long games, but watching you play this game with style and grace as you did the whole way through, it's such a testimony to you and Fergal for just sticking it out. So, you know, yes, you can be as grateful as you like, but and you played hard for that little girl, and she's beautiful. She's beautiful.
It's
So
beautiful.
can
But
I can I just can you tell me or tell us some of your real like face down, I think you probably have already, but your real like number one face down toughest moment that really made you want to say, that's it, I'm out?
um, I probably have a long list. Um, I would say probably two main ones will be my miscarriages. Um,
Yeah.
like any miscarriage is horrific, like
Yeah.
so hard to deal with. But to go through a second and a third, and I know there's people out there who have been through, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, somebody who'd been through 14 miscarriages. But even one miscarriage is too much for anybody to have to go through. And to know, I think the hard part about it is that you're pregnant. Like there's a baby inside you, regardless of whether you're pregnant for a day, a week, a month, 9 months. Like there's your baby is growing inside of you, and you never get to know who they were, what type of personality they'd have, um, yeah, or anything about them. If people ask me, oh, is this your first baby? I say no, it's actually my fourth, but the other three didn't survive. And I think it's so important for people out there to normalize that conversation, because they were my children. They were my angel babies, like they were. So that's probably at the third, maybe at the second, at the third, maybe probably the third one. I was going to roll. Well, if I've had three already, what's going to make any other one work or stick around, you know? So that was one side of it. Another one that I really struggled with over time was pregnancy announcements. Like all my friends had children and continued to have children throughout my time, family, and as overjoyed as you can be for them. And I was like, and I love all their children to pieces. But there's that overjoyed versus that really, really sad, and sometimes angry, not at them, but at the whole process and why, like the why me. But I tried not to do a lot of the why me. I was more of a action planned person. That's the type of personality I am. I get organized and move on. That's not to say that I didn't cry every time somebody told me that they were pregnant, because I did. I screamed sometimes. I got angry sometimes. But yeah, I struggled with pregnancy announcements. So those two, and probably the last one, I'll let you move on then, but it was probably the time, like whilst we had a 7-year journey, and we went through a lot, it was the genetic results in the thyroid diagnosis, which put us on hold for so long that I was just like, do you know what? I don't know if I can wait this out.
Yeah.
But we did.
Yeah. Yeah. Your patience gets really stretched, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, the amazing thing with you two is you've always gone at this together. Like it's Amy and Ferg and Amy, you know, conversations would always be with the both of you. And, you know, your steadfastness in your relationship, I am sure, was truly tested at times. What do you think are some of the strategies that you and Ferg used to really keep you guys solid? Because this is a journey that can sometimes drive people apart. What were the strategies you guys used?
I think first and foremost, we spoke about that from day one, that this can drive couples apart. I've seen it happen to people. And I think that was my fear of having to go down that route, apart from the fact of the whole IVF thing just freaked me out initially, and whereas now I think it's the most amazing thing in the world. But we had that conversation from the get-go that if we're doing this, we're in it together. And if ever one of us is feeling like we don't want to do this anymore, we have to be honest about it. So strategies for myself and Fergal were, I'd probably say, wine and laughter to start off with. When something didn't work, open a bottle of wine. As much as we might not supposed to have been drinking alcohol, it might have helped, but it definitely relaxed us. Laughter is key. Like, we, oddly enough, would make jokes to ourselves about our journey. Simple things like, some people just get to go to bed on a Saturday night, have sex, and they fall pregnant. You know, or like the saying, it takes two to tango, but for us it took about 72 people for to tango, because of the amount of things that we had to go through. So communication was like really key for us. We walked and talked so much, left our phones behind, no TV distractions. Nice. And just kind of talked through the process. I think I touched on it earlier. We always had we had plan Bs for everything. So for every transfer we'd go in, we'd try to go in with the most positive mindset that we possibly could, even though, you know, at transfer number 7, you're thinking like, how can I actually be positive about this? But we kept a little realistic voice in the back of our head that said, there's absolutely no guarantee in this. So if it doesn't work, what do we do? So we always went in with a plan B from a fertility point of view, but we also came up with a plan B for life. So our purpose in life is to become parents. That's what we always wanted. It's what, you know, I thought about for years, and what we've spoken about since before we got married. So we needed to come up with a new purpose for ourselves if it wasn't going to work. So we had a broad purpose there, but we didn't delve into it because we still had that hope and belief that we wouldn't need to go down that route. Thankfully we didn't, because it involved traveling, and COVID wouldn't have allowed that. And we also just had things to look forward to throughout the journey. So it's so important. I'll say it's so important to grieve the process. If you have a miscarriage, if you have a failed transfer, if you have like a terrible egg retrieval result, if you get any other test results back that aren't in your favor, it's so important to grieve that. Don't brush it off. Don't let other people brush it off. It's affecting you. Cry, scream, do what you need to do to help you through it. So we always allowed ourselves grief, but also had things to look forward to, be it a picnic in the park, be it a weekend away, be it a cinema date, be it a holiday, which is why we just kept going back home. Always had those things in place, because we knew that there was no guarantee when anything was going to work out. So just, we really worked together. Like, if anything, it brought us closer than we'd ever been before, which I didn't think was possible.
And
it's
definitely
important.
a teamwork. One of the things that I always recognized with you was you have this pragmatism about you, right? Okay, Tamara. And there was always the question, okay, what more could we do? What more could we look at? And it was just a very methodical pragmatism. It wasn't necessarily emotionally driven, which I think is a really great quality to have. What do you think are some of the good qualities that or strategies that you think are really important to help women particularly, but couples, play that long game?
Oh gosh. Probably some of the things I've answered in my previous question. Equality for me is that bravery and courage. So it's taking that chance again and again and again to try and find joy and happiness by starting a family, but also knowing that the results could lead to the more pain and more devastation. So it's trying to build that courage to just believe and to just just go on. Like I probably listen to a lot of these kind of chats, podcasts, things like that really helped me through. I think our first couple of years, we didn't really speak to anybody about it outside of ourselves, because we just thought it was out of the norm. But you'll find there's so many people out there. So listening to other people's stories to give you that sense of hope
Yeah.
can really help.
Yeah. That's not in this alone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, that pragmatism, I guess, just that realism, to be realistic. Sorry. Like I said earlier on, is that you have to go into this. You need to be, you need to believe. You have to have the hope and to be positive, but know that there's no guarantee, which is really hard to do.
It's a balance,
But
isn't
I feel, yeah. But I feel having that positivity and like that manifestation that this is going to happen can produce those positive endorphins to help your body. Like stress, I think, was definitely something that affected me over the years, which I can only say in hindsight. But I do think it's a big contributor for people. So being in lockdown for me, the 3 months leading into my transfer was probably the best thing that could have happened, because it made me slow down and made me just, I worked from home and we weren't just here, there and everywhere,
trying to burn around. Yeah. So what do you reckon is like your fist pumping, life defining moments, well, maybe there's more than one, in this journey that have really made you look in on yourself and go, I'm so proud I stuck this out? Like, was there any a couple of moments? I mean, obviously holding Amelia in your arm, that would definitely be it, hands down. But leading up to, was there any moment in that 7 years odd that you can say, I'm bloody proud I stuck this out?
I would probably say the biggest fist pumping moment was when I got to shout out that it's a girl, when we got those genetic results. And from that moment, I truly believed that, whilst I still had this realistic voice in the back of my mind, I truly believed that this was our time. This is going to work for us. Like, it was just a big thing for us.
Yeah. And kind of secondarily to that, do you think, I mean, obviously the answer is yes, I've grown, but do you think as a person you've developed this incredible wisdom and growth in yourself as a person because of this?
Yeah, definitely. So I used to have, I've always had an air of confidence about myself. I've been, I'm emigrated overseas in 2012 with Fergal and knew nobody over here. And whilst I wasn't a shy, timid person, I struggled at times to, I guess, just be that confident, that super confident person. And going through this whole journey has probably developed my resilience in life. My dad said it to me a couple of years back when he came over on holidays. I was talking about a situation at work and how I had dealt with it, and he just looked at me and he's like, Amy, I need to stop you there. And I was like, okay. He's like, I think you've changed since you moved here. And I automatically thought the worst, thinking, oh gosh, no, why? And he was like, I was like, I to assume that's a compliment, Dad, or is it something I need to work on? Because Dad was always the person that I'd turn to on these things. And he was like, no, definitely. He's like, you've changed for the better. He's like, you have just become this real tough, like much more confident person in life, and knowing what you want from life, and knowing the direction you want to head in, and decisions that you're making and how you hold yourself are an awful lot different to how you would have before you came over. And I'd put an element of it down to emigrating and having to fend for yourselves over here, not knowing, starting your life out. But hands down, definitely comes to the journey, because like every month you're faced with another negative pregnancy test, or your period arriving, or like every few months there was like a failed transfer, a miscarriage. Like going through all of that cannot but make you a stronger person.
Yeah.
And I would definitely say that's the main growth that I personally had was my
Yeah.
resilience. From myself and Fergal's point of view, definitely our relationship. I mean, it was always a strong relationship, but the growth in that is phenomenal over the last few years. And we're very lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the duality of this, isn't there? There's darkness to this journey, but there's a certain lightness that you can get out of it, even if you don't get that baby in your arms. There is a certain amount of wisdom and growth that I think that you can have from this.
Yeah.
So, Amy, oh my gosh, I have so loved it. You should see, I don't know if you can see all the love hearts that have been pumping through the screen here, but seriously, I think there's a lot of beautiful souls out there that have totally resonated with your story and some of the things that you've shared. And thank you so much for sharing them really vulnerably. I know how valuable this is going to be for people. Is there any last thing that you want to share with everyone out there?
It's probably stuff that I've said throughout, but a couple of things I would say: celebrate the wins. Infertility and miscarriages are really crap, like shit. Excuse my French, Tamara and Mum, if you ever listen to this.
It's emotional.
Yeah, we go through the hardest of times and get the hardest of news delivered day in, day out, month on month, year on year, and so on. So it was something that I definitely didn't do for the first few years of our journey, but learned to do it, to celebrate the wins. So if you have a positive pregnancy test, celebrate that, because on that day you are pregnant. If you get PGS testing and you get 2 normal embryos, that's 2 chances. You get 1 normal embryo, that's 1 chance. Whether they work or not, celebrate it. So celebrate the wins. Celebrate, successful egg retrievals, anything small, like just celebrate it, because you don't know if that's going to last or not. And if you spend your time constantly being sad and looking at the lows and rather than any of the highs, then it'll be a longer journey that you'll have to go down. So that's probably one. Don't allow yourself to grieve. Massive thing for me, which I didn't do initially as well. And don't be ashamed to reach out and talk to people. Like, normalize the conversation. As I said, if somebody asked me in my early years, are you going to have children? I'd be like, oh yeah, one day. And as time went on, it got harder and harder to be asked that. So I would just be upfront with people. Again, this came with a lot of strength and a lot of years of highs and lows. So I definitely couldn't have done it at the start, but I would just say it, oh, unfortunately not, or unfortunately we may not be able to. And it stops people in their tracks. It's not comfortable for them, but it's definitely, like, society out there needs to realize that not every single person is able to conceive naturally, and some people have really, really hard journeys. And I guess finally, just don't lose hope or strength. And I know it's really easy for me to say that while my 11-month-old beautiful daughter's asleep, hopefully still in there. But if you don't have any hope, then you have to have hope to continue going. Because if you don't have any hope, you don't really have a positive outlook in what may be for you down the road. So yeah, that's probably it.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, I agree. We are hope is one of our most important tools in this journey. Thank you.
Yeah.
You've shared some absolute nuggets tonight. I can see there's been some great comments dropped here about what you've shared, Amy. Thank you to everyone who has listened in. Yeah, lots of inspiration. Totally agree with you. What I do want to say to everybody, there's a couple of things I want to say. The first thing I want to say is, girls, guys who might be listening to this, don't play the comparison game, right? Everybody has their own journey, their own story. Amy and I talked long and hard about sharing this, and we felt that there were some, beautiful moments and opportunities, and Amy has just been so gracious in sharing that tonight. So I want to thank you for that. But most importantly, to all of you guys out of there, take away from this some learning opportunities that are going to help support you in your journey. And if you know somebody who really would benefit from this, make sure you tag them into this post. Follow me, follow Amy, because she has an incredible story. One of the most beautiful serendipitous things about this is Amy and Fergal get to take beautiful Amelia home to be with their family, which is really nice. Makes me sad. I'm going to lose you, but I know that
we'll be back. We'll be back.
Yeah, that's right. We're a global community now anyway. The other thing too, you talked a lot about pregnancy loss. I want to remind everybody of the Pink Elephant Support Network. You can find them on Instagram. They're an amazing Australian organisation that really supports, and I can drop the handle here in the comments, but they're an amazing organisation that supports people going through pregnancy loss of any type. And a lot of what you've talked about tonight is something that they really advocate. So I would really strongly encourage people to get in touch with them. But look, Amy, thank you so much for your time. I know that everybody on here has been really, really inspired. Thank you for being part of my journey and being part of my learning and my growth as well. I've absolutely loved working with you guys, and yeah, I'll never forget you guys. I'll be reaching out every birthday. Happy birthday.
Thanks, Tamara. If there's just one thing I can say to everybody out there, whilst it might look like I'm the strongest, most resilient person out there, I wasn't during this journey. I have shed many's a tear, and I've screamed a lot of high screams and got angry. So just know that, like, I wasn't strong the whole way through, and it's okay not to be strong at all times. But I'm wishing all of you every luck in the world. And yeah, as Tamara says, if you want to reach out, I'm always there to chat. And thank you, Tamara, for having me. And we won't forget you either.
Pleasure. All right, beautiful Insta family. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We've nearly hit an hour, and Instagram kicks you off after an hour, so we better get off. So we'll see you soon. Say hi to Ferg. Give him a
Will do. Thanks, Tamara. Will do.
Guys. Bye.